My first question is for Jordin. Music is such an important part of this competition and the different eras that are, happening. Did you have a favorite era of music for this competition? And also, do you think that one works better for roller skating than others?
Ooh. That second half of that question is like, you got me thinking. Personally, my favorite era that we did was the 60s. I love the fashion. I love Motown music. Like, I've loved it since I was little. So I love the joy and like the fun and the happiness that exudes when you kind of listen to Motown music. And it's really good for group numbers as well, because there were so many group performers then. And I don't know. I don't know if I can list an era that might be the best, but I feel like the best songs for anybody to either dance, sing, perform, skate to are songs that really bring you joy and that you relate to. So I feel like that would be my answer. I can't really list a genre. I know what he's going to say. I know what genre he's going to say.
No, you're going to be surprised because she added a twist to it. With that twist, so everybody knows I like the 80s. I'm an 80s guy because of Prince and Michael, but for skating, performance skating, I would say the 70s. Because you got the funk, which rappers sample the funk. So that's like three different eras right there with the funk. And you've got the disco, which is kind of like house. And so you cover like 5 different genres and eras with just the 70s.
Yeah.
So see,
I smell
some surprises in my pocket.
70s music is how I think of roller skating, with the disco ball and the clothes and the aesthetic and everything. So 70s, I think, definitely kind of gets my heart racing a little bit more than the other eras.
80s is still my favorite, though.
Terrell, you've seen skating evolve over the years. How different is roller skating now than when you first started in the sport?
It's interesting. When I was younger and more athletic, kind of it was looked down upon to be flipping and all of that stuff. And now with like break skate and honor roll and different groups in Atlanta, House of Skate, they're so athletic now. It's kind of like sports. I mean, like, it was amazing if a woman dunked a basketball 20 years ago. Now women are dunking basketballs all over the place, and it's the same thing. It's evolved into such an athletic, like, they're just so strong and agile. I'm like, when someone asked me if I wanted to compete on this show, I'm like, heck no. These dudes are like jumping over the roof and things like that. But no, the athleticism of it is amazing, and it's going to be fun for everybody to watch.
Yeah.
But don't try any of those tricks at home because you'll break your hip.
So speaking of tricks and techniques and things like that, Johnny, you've seen so many competitions. What do you think is really important for a skating group in a competition like this?
Well, first of all, I'm so excited that we actually get to celebrate roller skating in this way, on this level, for the first time ever. So we all have that touchstone to roller skating, whether we grew up with it, whether our parents did it, whatever. It's just something that we can all understand and relate to. However, the show celebrates so many different disciplines of roller skating, the more artistic, freestyle-like figure skating version of roller skating, plus the break, the cruise, everything. And I love that, and I think being a diverse performer is always really important. And I'd say to anybody competing in anything, the most important thing is to believe in yourself, listen to your heart, and clue into you. Because, I mean, not all judges are nice like me. And I was there with just full love and support, whereas some other people may have been a little bit critical for most of the thing.
I do want to talk about
Terrell.
the dynamics of judges, and you had so many guest judges too. Did that change the dynamic?
This show's all love. This show is all love, and everybody that came into the nest and were our guests, they all immediately tucked into that supportive, loving place. And I joke about Terrell, but constructive criticism is super important. And I think everybody just felt that, like, cocoon that we were living in.
I do think, like, it's always different when you have somebody extra sitting in the middle, because I didn't get to sit at the judges table, but I got to watch and see and kind of referee between these guys. But it's interesting because so many people have different takes. Some people are like, I don't even know how to judge this. I'm just going to go off of what I like. Or some of the judges would be like, well, I skate all the time, so I'm going to go off of what I feel. So it was, I don't know if it changed the dynamic so much as more of what they said or the comments that they gave. But all of them were so much fun. And legends sitting amongst us, and so it was just so cool to be able to experience that as well.
Well, I mean, it's the same, like legends sitting amongst us. Like, you guys are all legends in your, in your fields. I guess my last question for you guys is, how hard was it to not pick favorites, like to stay kind of like unbiased?
That was probably the hardest for me. Because,
well, you know everyone.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's two ways to be unbiased for me, is to know no one or to know everyone. And I literally know everyone. So it's like picking your favorite kid. You're not going to pick your favorite kid.
Right.
So that allowed me to just go, well, I already know everybody, so I can't be biased because I'm going to see you, I'm going to see you, I'm going to see you. And so I just literally, no matter what I saw, went, this is what I'm seeing right now. I don't care what I saw 6 months ago or 1 year ago, or I'm going, what are you doing now? How did you execute it? Did you do what you were trying to do? And that's what I looked at. And that's why there were a lot of surprises, because it's easy to say, oh, this group looked great in week 1. Well, did they look great in week 3? Did they look great in week 5? Because just because you look great once doesn't mean you're going to be great all the way through. And just like if you're the Lakers or the Warriors or the Cowboys or whoever, you might be a dynasty team, doesn't mean you can't lose. So
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things that I was told when I started broadcasting figure skating is that you have to separate yourself from the world that grew you and step away from your personal relationships with the people that you're commentating, because your obligation now is to the audience. And while I didn't know everybody, I knew that my job was to be loving and supportive of the people performing for us, that we were lucky enough to enjoy their talents. But my job was to be like the person sitting at home that invites us into their living room, thankfully. But that I had to be unbiased because I knew everybody else was coming in a similar way to me that'll be watching at home. So I wanted to be supportive and inspire and do that whole thing.
he was supportive. I was the push. I had to kick him in the butt because every great athlete needs a great coach. And I want them to go after that 150 grand because that is not a small amount of money. That's a large amount of money. We're in a rough economy, so everybody's got to come for it. So I want you to have the best opportunity to win. And just like you'd want your child to have the best opportunity to go. So if they have bad grades, you're going to get on them. So it's the same thing. If you have a bad grade, I'm going to get on you because I want you to win. I want you at Harvard. And this show is the Harvard of skating.
But Jordin had to stand there in between the teams as we were eliminating them.
I got lucky because I wasn't at the judges panel, so I was able to really be down there with the contestants, and I didn't have favorites. I loved them all. I think it would be unfair to list a favorite, especially when you're talking to them and you're amongst them all the time. Like, I never wanted anybody to feel like, oh, well, she doesn't like me anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think for all of us, that's something we want them all to feel like they're welcome here. We want them all to feel like we're rooting for them. So, but I really enjoyed being able to be down there and hug them and be like, it's okay, like breathe, you got this, like it's all right.
None of us had favorites.
Yeah.